Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live peoples, and I hope everybody's had a wonderful Christmas. It's live on YouTube, ustream.tv, and also recorded for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I am working today with these Chameleon blendable pens, and I bought these for my daughter because she needed some pens for uni, and they need a lot of markers for graphics, and she's doing illustration and animation. And these Chameleon color tones have two ends. They have a bullet end like a normal marker, and they have a brush tip. And that enables you to use them either small spaces or for larger spaces. But the best thing about these colour markers is you can add a blending solution and you can put a lot of solution in so you count for longer, and you can reduce that to its original colour. So every pen has 10 shades. So even though there is only a set of 22 here, there is also a colourless blendable colourless blender with again a bullet and a brush. And there is also a detail pen which is permanent, so you can draw with this, and there's a 0.4mm and a 0.6mm, so you can draw whatever you want and then you can colour it in and you know it's not going to smudge. So because there's 22 here and each colour has 10 shades, she is walking about at college with not a very big, it's the same size as printer paper. Well, it's a bit smaller than printer paper actually. Ruler. I need a ruler. This is a proper ruler, is it? Yes, it is. I think we are on, I think I said 9 inches by, I think it's 7.5, I think. This is a skew width one. Just need to not pick the right one. And I'm sorry I haven't made any videos for a week. It's just the girls are home and they're just so damn noisy. They're so noisy. You know, they're coming in and out, banging doors, taking the dogs for a walk, and it's like, you know, nobody wants to listen to that. So, and I had a croaky voice as well, which again, coughing, nobody wants to listen to that. So apologies for being absent without AWOL, but hopefully they should be quieter today. So there's 20 colours in here. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. There's 20 colours. So in theory, there's 200 colours here, because you've got 10 out of the orange, you've got 10 out of that green. Now I did have them all in order, but she's brought them back and they're all kind of skew whiffs. There's a green over here and a green over there. And there's a neutral and a yellow and a brown, and they're all mixed up. And I'm a bit of a fuddy-duddy. I like them all into colour range. So we've got the dark blue next to a medium blue next to a light blue. And I quite like that. Then I have a red next to the orange, and it just makes that a little bit easier if you forget what colours you've got. But you do also get the beauty of these pens, and I think that's why it's sticking at the back there. And I really can't cope with these today. I'll just have to probably, they're going to have to shut the doors and stop the dogs running around. Girls, can you please shut the door, please? Thank you. Right, sorry, the little dog's just playing havoc at the moment. Oh no, we have the kettle boiling. Goodness gracious me. I do like streaming when there's nobody about, because the dogs just know to settle down. So apologies for all the kerfuffle. So where was I? Yeah, so I like the pens, so I have all the yellows together, all the neutral tones and the browns. Not because I'm particularly finicky about it. It's just it makes it so much easier. You know that's a mid blue, that's a dark blue, and that's a pale blue. And it's like the color wheel. You create your own color wheel in your felt pens, like the yellows and the greens. I just like them together. So there's a darker green, and then there's an olive green, and then this is almost like it's aquamarine, and there's the number and the colours on there, so you can see. So I can put the others together. So I've got a bit more. There's a fawn, and a neutral, and a brown. So it's actually quite a nice set, is this. There is one slight disadvantage. They're a little bit pricey, to say the least. Having said that, you do get a little bag, and I've actually taken it out, with replaceable nibs. And you can also buy the little bottles of, it's actually, it doesn't say it's an ink. Does it say it was an ink? Yes, alcohol ink pens. So you can actually, I don't think it shows you, but you can have get a special pair of tweezers where you can replace the nibs, and you can refill the chambers with both the ink, the alcohol ink, and also the blendable solution. So the reason these are completely different is if I take, I'll do a leaf if I can find one. Have we got any leaves on here? That's the idiot's test this morning. We should have some leaves on here, but we haven't. So we'll go with that one. We'll go with the orange. So this is number 4. And I do need to move this out of the way because I'm left-handed, so I apologise. So I always have a couple of pieces of photocopy paper behind because these will bleed through. But always use a photocopy paper because it doesn't smudge. A lot of these alcohol markers with the colours, the colour books, will smudge, and I've done them before and they've smudged. So I've kept them in the book and photocopied them. Some of the more expensive books don't, but then you'd be wasting probably a paper, a nice design on the back. So I kind of tend to do this. So how it works is you have a bullet end, which you use as a normal marker. And the nice thing about these is I can just about get these tops off because they are huge and they are chunky. So I can get the tops off these and just use them as a marker if I want. But if you take the chamber, you can see there's the little bullet chamber there. And I always have mine the wrong way around, but of course she's been using these at uni since September, so she's kind of moved them. So on the end here is a brush marker. Now they do go like this. This is the brush pen, so it goes like a brush at the end. It's all fluffy, and you think, oh, it's broken, but it isn't. So what you need to do is to very carefully align the tip of the felt pen with the tip of the blending solution point, and then you tip it upwards, vertical, and you count. And depending on how long you count for is depending if you have a bigger space or you have a smaller space, or you want a paler to go to dark, or you want half and half. And sometimes you can actually see it change colour. And then when you take it away, it's not exactly the same as the darker colour there. It eventually will go darker. And you don't always push it right onto the end, it just wants to touch. So I'll leave that for a minute. But if you didn't like the fact that the brush is a bit fluffy, then you just change it. You do get, I think, about 10 nibs with the set. The set are about £80. But they just brought out a set of 150, which are quite amazing. Sorry, there isn't a... Yes, how many colours are there? There's 52. I think there's 52 in the new set. So the new set would obviously be 50. But technically that's 500 colours. Now I think they're about £180, which is a bit expensive. But you can get the tweezers, and you can reuse the nibs, and you can fill the chambers. So as long as you look after them, they'll last you forever. And I kind of like that. So again, if you touch now, this one's a little bit too fluffy. I have to use the bullet end. I think she's used these, and kind of after a while you do need to change the but they're not mine technically, they're hers, so I've only been using it. Again, you just push that. Sometimes you don't want to push it right on because you damage the nib and they go fluffy. So it's a little bit paler, but I want to be faster than this, so I'm going to do this one. I think it's the Warm Sunset, actually. I think it's the Warm Sunset, but they're really, really chunky. They're about 8 inches long, so they are quite a big, chunky pen. Unless the blending solution's gone. You see if there, this is the same pen, it's the same colour, but I've taken all the colour out of it for a short time. So what this allows you to do is to, and you've got to be quick, you just keep filling this colour in, and what happens is the blending solution is now being diluted by the colour, by the ink. And so eventually you will end up with a really, really rich, deep, original felt pen colour. And if you are using markers, and again I'll show you, it's on here and it's on here, it goes through. So if you use it in your colour book, it will ruin it. You have to photocopy it. But if you photocopy it correctly, not like I've just done a real rough one, you get the best of both worlds. So again, no, I don't know how many, but that was. I'll probably count about 10. So if you push that again very carefully, so they're just kissing, and we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I haven't done that one as long because this particular leaf and petal under here is under this one, so it's going to be a little bit darker. And again, just a touch, and you can see there's no colour coming out of there whatsoever. So I'm actually going to zoom in a bit, and then you can actually see what I'm doing. So bear with me because we could go a bit fizzy-wizzy. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm now going to be tittering for the rest of the day. And I will just use this possibly as Sooty has left the building. We got some smaller writing, yes we have. I think that would be fine. So you can see it's gone from pale to dark. And again, you want to be a nice wrist action. It's got to be comfortable because you're going to start and keep going across. You can't stop because you'll get lines. So I'll just test again, and it's still pale. And you can see what happens is this is why you have to keep going till eventually you get to the original colour. And that's why you need a practice piece here. So always test before you touch your page, because if for some reason it hasn't kissed, that pen will be the same as the original and you'll spoil your work. So it's a good idea to test. So I think we've possibly talked enough. So again, just a touch, and you can see it's worked. So I'm going to start here, and I've got a lovely, comfortable, swinging movement. So again, the tip, and just keep going inside the line. And because you've got a lot of control, now I actually want to go behind that, so I'm going to have to do this and split it. But you kind of know that in here, then you can put a shadow. You get a really nice effect. So that wasn't as long, and so that's got more pale and less dark original colour. This one has less pale and more dark because it's behind it. So it's the same pen, it's just counting slightly less. And again, you know, you are just using one pen for a whole petal. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to be doing this one here, but what I'm going to do is actually put, sorry about that, I say I can't seem to get to my, I just want this near so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry, I do apologise. Again, I haven't got the laptop in the right place, but I'm rearranging my room, so hopefully things should get better. So again, now there's a lot of colour come out of there now, so I can do two things. If it's too pale, I can just keep going until I can just see it a little bit. I've got to be a bit careful because that actually will go through. Right, so that's probably better. If you forget, you can just draw it out like this until it gets its original colour and start again. So I'm just going to start with this one, and again I've got to be in a comfortable position and draw across, and you just keep going, because if you keep going faster, you're crossing the back line before it dries, so you don't have any lines. It's just naturally blending, and then you can get into here, and probably this is where it's going to be dark, so you can actually carry on with its original colour. And then if you want to put a bit of a shadow on this bit here, you can put a bit of a shadow on that one, and then here use it as a normal felt pen, because now all these colours come back, just to kind of play with the colour a little bit. So we have another one here to do. So again, I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to count this time to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just going to give a little bit of a touch. There's no colour on there, so I'm going to, I don't know if you can start on here, because the thing is this would be darker. So what you could do is about here, you could start and go across. Now this is only practice because I've never done this before, and then we could go across and just touch that, go across, and then this is going to be kind of darker. Now it shouldn't have been darker because it should have been lighter. It would have been alright if I carried on. But what you can do under here is again put it back on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, you want this to be hardly any colour, and you can take this little bit here back darker and work backwards. So this is going to get darker. So again, we'll just put this on, and if you go on the website of Chameleon pens, there's somebody drawing with these pens where you have to stand and count, and then there's somebody with traditional markers for blending, and by the time you've finished, then there isn't very much in it because you're taking pen tops on and off. And I can't do that. I find it extremely difficult to take pen tops on and off. But these markers are so chunky, I don't really need a lot of control. And so if you've got arthritis, you can, if you want to use your wrist, you can just swing that pencil across, and that's all you're doing. And because they are so chunky, you can use them quite easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then eventually you learn that, this would actually be darker, not paler, but it's going to come out paler. But it's to show you just how light you can be if you want to be. And so that flower is now finished. So you put the top onto this one, and that was the bullet end actually, not the brush. And then you put the top back on there, and you just push. And that's so easy for me, it's just to push. And then I can pop it back into its little stand, and I can pull out the next colour. And again, I can't see any green leaves. I don't know why I can't see any green leaves, but there seems to be a large flower behind there, and then nothing. But I just do the little butterfly, and we'll do it pale blue. We'll do it pale blue. The dark blue is really dramatic. We'll do the pale blue. So again, I've got the brush tip here. So that's the bullet end, and that's the brush tip. And I want the brush tip. So you have the top, and then you have the little bit in the middle. Always have this sat together because this is what's protecting the blendable chamber. Because if you leave it like this, like I left one by accident, you ruin your chamber. And again, it's not pushed all in there. There is a gap. I can get my fingernail in there, and yet these two are kissing. So you don't want to ram it on because you bend the brushes. And again, I think that's what my daughter's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, just a bit of a test to make sure that that's clear. So I could start on the edge of the butterfly. Just stroke this colour in. Now, as you see, that should have really been for a bigger butterfly. But if I turn this over, I can get this really pale butterfly. And it's going to go to really deep. I made a bit of a pig's ear of that. I'll do it with the darker one. So again, you put the tops on and push, and you just push once, and they're on. Let me do this one. I haven't played with these for a little while, so you just push them together like that. And you do get some quite vibrant colours. Maybe the blending solution is probably drying out a bit because she's had them a while, and as I say, I don't know how she's used them. So again, just a touch, and it's pale, but it's still there. So I have a choice. I can either colour the butterfly a small space, in which case I will get a little bit of a blend, or I can do another one. But eventually that blue will come back. I could do all sorts with these, but I say I'm just really out of practice with them. So that was the blue one. So that was a bit of a practice. And again, you know, it's good to have a bit of a practice. So let's go for this one now. So we're going to go for this leaf. So I'm going to go for this leaf here. So I think I want pale going to dark. I think I'm going to use the pale green. So that's the tip I want, and then I want to twist this and push that very carefully to touch there. And then we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, bye, Carol. Oh, hi. I do apologise. My thing's been not on its thing. And if you can see there, look. You see how that's really pale? And then that's green. So that's pure colour, and that's the blendable solution. Bye, Caroline. Thanks for stopping by. So I do apologise. This is a live show, and my laptop wasn't on, showing the. I don't know why it wasn't showing the messages. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. If I do this, I can't see the screen, but it'll be fine, I'm sure. So if we test it here, there's hardly any colour. So I've never done it on such a small space, so this is just a practice. This is just a kind of, we're going for it. So this is a tiny little leaf here. So I'm just going to start to colour. And the green is going to just kind of appear. Now under here, sorry, I turned it the right way up. Under here we have a shadow. So this is the palest. So because this is a shadow, I'm going to actually go under here. So this is the original colour. So if we take it back, we'll see just how far it will go. Yeah, that's, and it's a lovely soft. So it would actually go darker than this. So again, I'd put the blending solution. So it's just touching. Sometimes it goes all the way on and sometimes it doesn't. There's a bit of a gap there. So count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, a bit of a test. So it's not the pure colour, it's just off. And again, you need to turn this so it's at the right angle, because it's so difficult to do it when it's not at the right angle. And once you start, you have to keep going. So again, that is the same green, but I didn't count as long. So this one, I'm going to count to 8. So I twist that on there. And again, I've done a full leaf, but I've got a lovely blended image. Eventually, you don't need to count, you know where you are, but it's a good idea to start with. So this hasn't got any colour on it, so I'm going to turn it over and do this one. So this one is very pale. So you want it pale until it starts to bend, because then naturally it would be darker. And then you can take that into the stem. and I'm actually going to do the stem. So when I turn that round carefully, you're going to have some gorgeous colours. So again, we twist onto there and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I want a fairly light highlight on this one, but then I want it to kind of go quite dark in there. So again, you get a comfortable position and then you just tease the colour out. And you get a really nice natural highlight. Now this one's in darkness, so again go to this, test the colour. It's now back to its original colour, so we need to take a little bit out, but I'm going to count to 8. And I'm actually going to do this one, I think, under here. That was quite a pale one, but what that's given me is it's given me that shade there, and I wanted to do this one under here. So again, I'm very tempted to colour it in, but I need to twist it so that it's comfortable. And then I know that's darker, so eventually you learn to get a bit of a highlight darker, but a very pale one, so you can soon judge that, yes, I've got it to that, but actually from there I quite like that underneath leaf because it's under this one. And again, I shouldn't have probably done that one this colour, but it doesn't really matter. This one has now gone up to this one here, but again I can do this leaf and then get that one out of it as well. So I'm going to turn that this way. You've got to be ready. Twist the pen and count. So hi Chris, Christy, Mountain Dreamer, Dorothy, anybody else that's joined us, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Having a play with these blendable pens, these Chameleon blendable pens, because I won't be able to do this in a week because my daughter's taking them back to uni, and I can't really justify buying these pens for me, as much as I love them. And as I say, with arthritis they're so good. You just very carefully twist that just onto there rather than ramming it on, because you'll damage the paintbrush, sorry, the brush tip. And we count again, and I don't want much because I want to do this one here. I'm going to start with, actually I'm going to start with this one because it's the palest. So again, you just push the colour and it just blends beautifully. And then we have this one under here. So this is the original colour of the pen. That's how dark it is. So you've got quite a lot of colour, and I'm going to have to just do this bit here. And I would like a bit of a highlight on this bit. So again, I'm just going to push this on here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what that's going to give me is a little bit of a highlight to go behind there. So I can do this flower next. So again, this tip goes on here like that, and turn the pen around, and the tube goes over the blendable chamber tip and it's pushed together. And that is so easy when you have arthritis. So I'm going to pick, I kind of want a peachy colour, so I'm going to pick this colour, I think. And again, that's the sometimes you can turn these around however you want, but I've got the bullet tip here, which I pull apart, and that's a little bit fluffy, is that? So if you want a small space, you can use the bullet end. So I've got the bullet end, which I put the top to one side, and then I'm going to twist this chamber off and then twist that onto there. So count. Excuse me, Samantha, the door's open. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we'll see what that does. So that's almost clear. So what I can do now is to go to here, and I can work all the way around this particular. And the quicker you go, the better it is. But you learn to get a little bit faster, and that's given me a beautiful blend. But I want a little bit darker one there, so I've got a choice. I can either go to that and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again, always just test, because you never know if you've if you've filled all this in, you do not want to make a mistake. So I think this is going to be a little bit paler, this one. So again, I've got to get my arm in a nice curve. So again, and it really is the opposite of working in my little colour book. And I'm going to do that one dark. So this is the original colour. So I don't want to spoil those. So I'm actually going to count again, but probably 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3. Again, just test. Now there isn't much colour here, but this is going to be pale here, and then it's going to turn darker very quickly. So I want a bit longer here because I want quite a nice pale till it gets to here and then dark. But this works opposite to my watercolouring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what you can do is, if you can do my watercolouring with the rigger, and you have the dark colour at the end and the rigger has all the damp, this is the complete opposite. So where I would start here working out with my damp rigger, here you start light and work dark. Exactly the same principle. You're just stroking this in. Now this is going to be very pale. And then if you want to, it's still quite pale as this, but you can kind of build up a little bit more colour if you want to. You can do exactly what you want. And if you take that just to here, you've got a really nice highlight on there. And again, that top wants to go on there, and then the bullet tube here goes over the chamber, and you push. And that's, so they're really handy to use if you've got really bad hands. So we'll do, I think it's a wasp, but I think I'm going to do it as a, oh, they're dragonflies. No, I think it's a dragonfly. I think he's just got his tail down. So we're going to do this dragonfly. And I think I've got this colour. Let's have a look. So what you can do is just have a bit of a play. So that's a green colour. It's called aquamarine. And I think that would look quite nice as a dragonfly colour. So what we're going to do is take the chamber off, and hidden in this section here is the bullet tip. So if you wanted to take this off, this is what the pen looks like. You've got the brush end and you've got the bullet end, and you push this end onto the one that you don't use as much. I do anyway. So I would have all those on my bullet end, so that this end is just the cap, and my chamber would come off. So I just take the chamber off and pull the cap off, and then that gives me easily, if you want to use them as a felt pen, do it the other way around. So again, they're just kissing, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've only counted to 5, and that's a little bit paler. But again, if you want to test the colour, you start and you just keep going. So it wasn't the palest it could be. So I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you could do a colour chart with these if you wanted. And again, look, if you just keep going, whoopsie. You just keep going and going and going and going until you know that's the proper colour. So you can get at least 10 shades out of this. And again, it works exactly the same. If this was my rigger pen, you would be drawing that way around, getting paler and paler and paler till there's no colour left on the rigger brush. This is the pale going to dark. And you're using one particular pen. So again, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because I actually don't want this dark colour on my dragonfly. I want to stop about here. So by doing more, that's given me a very pale dragonfly. So you don't have to use the colours right to the darkest. It has actually gone to the darkest. So we've got 10. So this time we want a bit more. I want that to be paler. So I'm going to do 15. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now this will be very pale, but I'm going to pick the biggest one here. I think I'm going to do this one. And I'm going to draw in here. So you're going to get the really nice, if it's very pale, but I think that's a really nice pale. And because we counted more, this was a bit bigger, but we counted a lot more because although this space is bigger, I wanted this to be darker than this one. So if I wanted it to be really pale, I could have done 20. So I might do 20 on this one. So we'll push this under and we'll count 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Actually, I'm only going to do 15 because I think that's longer than the other one. And I'll do the bottom one, and then if I make a pig's ear of it, that should be about right. So again, we start here and stroke down. No, it would have been good, so we can carry on. It would have been the right amount, actually. And there is a subtle difference in every wing. And again, it seems a pain to count every time, but what it gives you is even I still count, but I've only used them about 3 or 4 times. But what you get is some really gorgeous, especially with this brush, and you can see the brush tip actually bending. But that's some lovely, lovely shading that I could never get with a marker. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the bodies, so we'll do another one. and that is actually a B. Let's have a look, because I'm not sure how it would work with smaller spaces. So, but this is a big practice. This is a practice on photocopy paper. But of course, these colours are going to be fab. So we've got a little dragonfly here. So I think we should do some little dragonflies with the same colour. So I'm going to go with this again. And I'm going to count to about 5, I think. Whoopsie. I pulled the wrong end off. Look, even I made mistakes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, how pale have we got? So we are doing this particular one here. Sorry about that. Move it round. So again, we're going to start here and we're just going to stroke down. And you just have to keep going. You just keep going, going. And if you want a curve on it, put a curve on it. And again, about 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, always just touch, just in case. And I'm actually just going to draw straight down there. So that's given me quite a nice butterfly. And if I try and get them both on, you can see a difference. But the light would probably do that. You know, the tip of the wings are folded, whereas here you want more light. So that's obviously worked quite well. So again, you push that. I have them on the brush end. So I push the top on and push the tube for the chamber on in 1. And then I put it away. And it makes it really easy to use. So I'm going to do these, I think, and I've got some fawn colours and some other colours. Again, we've got, you can't see things until you've, this is a proper Chloe Rosanne, so you have to pick out the things that are easiest first. So I've done this kind of leaf, so I'm going to carry on with this leaf. And I have used the spring green for this. I've used the spring green. And that's what colour that is, although it looks a bit too yellow on there. So that was the spring green, and then I wanted to use this one. I have an olive, and I have a dark green, but I don't have any dark green. I should have done those dark green, really, I think. I might do these the dark green. We'll see how we can do with those. And then we've got the olive to do what we have dark green. And we have they're green, so they could be green, they could be dark green. I like the olive colour, I think I might use the olive colour here. I think I'm going to use the olive colour. Change my mind. And again, you've got to look at the size of the shape you want to colour. So I'm going to do each individual leaf like I did this one, I think. I'm going to do each individual one. So I'm going to count to about 5, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, just touch. So I want this to just be down to there. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by the time I'm stroking this back to the center, this is the original colour of the actual bullet pen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because this one is slightly bigger. So again, I just start here and stroke across, and then this should get to be olive by the time it gets to there, and you have a beautiful seamless blend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because I want that to be slightly paler. So again, stroke across, and it's going to get darker nearer the center, so I have a slightly different highlight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because this one I want to be quite dark. Again, just test. Now it's going to be darker, this one, I can tell straight away. So I can take that and finish that particular leaf down here. This is the true colour of the pen. All these are blending solution. I'm going to turn that over, and again this is going to be slightly different, but they're slightly smaller. So I'm going to count to 5 because this is a bigger space, so the blending solution isn't going to last as long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is going to turn quicker to its original colour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I am making this up as I go along, so if you want it to be completely pale, like here, and not get to its original colour, that's fine. You know, you're intact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this one was quite pale, so I can either risk it here and then take that down to a darker colour, because when I turn that over, that's giving me this leaf which is darker because it's underneath all the others, because this is the right way up, so the light's hitting this way. So you can soon think about this. Now we've got this one, but we've got, it's going to be a little bit tricky because we've got little things, in little insects in the way, but we'll try this one. So again, I'm going to do 6 because this is the big one. So touch that together so they're kissing, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, always just a little tester. I'm going to do this one first because it's lower. 1, 2, 3. So eventually you get where you don't need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. So that's quite pale, that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the reason that I haven't made any videos for the last few days, because it's almost impossible. The dogs know it's Christmas and they've just been horrendous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hi Vicky S, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm having a bit of a play in a photocopy of a Kirby Roseanne's, I think this one is Imagimorphia. I'll have a look in a second. I'll pan out in a second when I finish this one, and we'll have a look. So I'm using these Chameleon blendable pens. Now I didn't count as long, and I'm not at the right angle, so that's going to look a little bit strange, but what you can do is now just fill that in. There's a gap there and I've just caught it. So when I've done this, I'm going to use the bullet end. 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 5, and again just stroke that to its original colour. So if I turn that the right way round, you see this one is slightly darker because it's been behind this one, and I've got another leaf here. But because I need, I've got the fluffy end, or the brush end, the brush tip, I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to put the top on this end, and I'm going to pull the bullet tip. And this is like a felt pen point, so I can actually get push it gently onto the blending solution nib and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this shouldn't be, it's quite pale is that one, but I want it to be fairly pale. So again, I've got it at the right angle, and you stroke across there, and then it kind of goes here. So I want this a little bit pale, but then I want it to come up here and be darker. And if I really want to, and that should be darker, that's the tip of that one. So I can turn that round now really carefully. And so that looks like it's pale here, but quite dark in here. And if I want to, I can darken it up a bit more. I'll put the shadow of that particular little bug. And that leaf. So you can start putting some shadows in if you want. And that one would have a shadow, and maybe that one would have a shadow. So you can put the shadows in. This is with the bullet end, which is pure colour at the moment, because I've drained it all away. I want that to be very dark, and then down here just a little bit of kind of shadowy effect. Now this is kind of a brass colour, so I'm not sure what I've got for this, but I might do this big leaf up here first. And I think I'm going to do that in a different green. So again, I'm actually pushing this onto the bullet end, and to put the chamber nib into the tube to protect it and push. And I can put that one away. So welcome Vicky to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream. I'm playing with a photocopy of, because this goes through, so if I just pan out a little bit, and turn it over, I'm working in a Kirby Roseanne, and you get some beautiful blends from these Chameleon blendable pens. So each pen gives you 10 shades, depending on how much you count the blending solution into the nib. And on that note, I am just going to go find the Imagimorphia book. Whoopsie. And I'm going to have a quick look, because I think, and as I have, unfortunately, I haven't got my desk sorted yet, so everything slides down. Let me have a look. Yes, it is this one. There we go. So instead of doing it in here and ruining the other page, which it will do, I photocopied it. Oh, I tell a fib, it's not that one. Must be in Animorphia then. Let me have a look. Let me have a look to see if it's in. No, it isn't in Animorphia, I don't think. There must be another one. Let me have a look. There must be three. Oh, how strange. This was unplanned, actually. I hadn't decided to do this particular one. Oh, there it is. Because it's photocopied, it hasn't. Oh, it has got most of it on. But this will happen to your colour book. And actually, I think that looks really, really nice. That. So if you photocopy it, and it won't bleed either when you're smudging it. Some of the colour books do. I don't think the Kirby Roseanne does, but that means that you can have a really vibrant, bright marker colour. And then I want to do this in Graphitint, so I can colour it twice. and not destroy the other page, because it will go through. These are permanent alcohol ink pens, and they will damage your books. But if you photocopy something, you can have the fab, and you can turn it easily as well, which is another advantage of photocopying. And you're not going to damage the other side. So I think the chameleons would look, of course the actual chameleons will be brilliant with the chameleon pens, because you can do some gorgeous greens to turquoises. So I might photocopy another few of those, I think. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. Oh, Vicky says she has the chameleon pens. Oh, well, that's good. That's very good. But I'm not the expert. The best thing to do, I've only played with them a couple of times because my daughter has them. I bought them for her for uni. So she is carrying 200 colours here in her bag just to college every day. So if she had a bag of 200 markers, that would be a big bag. So that's why I bought them for her. Unfortunately, because she takes them away, I can't use them anymore. But you just have to learn to count to do different things. So we could have a go with the dials here on this compass. And again, you know, there's a brown, there's a nude, there's chocolate, hot chocolate, bark colour. So it's a good idea to have a bit of a play, because again, I haven't played I've played with each colour, I think, but I'm not an expert. So what I've got is 2 pieces of photocopy paper to protect it, because it's gone through the first page, and then I have a squiggly page to scratch, just to make sure that I have taken all the colour out that I want. So this one is called Bark, which is a very dark, deep, looks like actually dark chocolate. That's what it looks like. But a strange thing happens when you put the bullet end to it. So again, very carefully, don't ram it on, because you don't want to push it on. What you want to do is, there is a big gap there. You can see that they're just kissing. If I'd have pushed that on, I'd have squashed my brush. Don't ever turn it that way up, because all the ink will go into the blending solution and you ruin your nib. Always has to be that way up, because I leant one sideways for a bit while I was doing something and I ruined it. So it's the red one, I think. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to murder the dog. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So look what happens. It's almost disappeared. So I can do this. I did count to 10. So they're all your shades. You probably can get more than 10. This is probably the nearest. So you've got 2 or 3 here, and you've got 2 or 3 there. So you've got about 10 shades from every pen. And again, I like this colour here. So if I zoom in now, because you won't see the colours. So I'll just zoom in a bit. So you can now see all those subtle shades. And again, it works exactly the opposite of my Rigger watercolours. Mine has a damp brush with colour at the end, and so you start with a colour and you work your way out until you're just left with a brush, a damp brush. These work the opposite way. So if you're using my way, you would start in the middle and work out. But these chameleon pens, you start with the palest and work dark. They work in exactly the same way. So if you could do my watercolouring, you can use these pens. But again, instead of starting in the middle with my Rigger, going out until the rigger brush had no colour in it, you're starting with a very, very diluted marker pen on the outside, and then you're colouring into deeper. So test the colour, that's a pure colour, and then we push this very carefully onto there and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to try something that I haven't done before. So touch that and it's pale. So if we look at this particular one, we've got pale on the top and we've got dark underneath. So I'm going to try, because this is the easiest one, I'm going to try this first here and go under here. And I quite like that one, but I want this to be paler. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm just actually going to touch this a minute. Right, so there's hardly any colour in here now, because what I want to do is I want to kind of, it's probably a little bit too pale, but I could do it on another one. So if I do it this one here, you can see it's actually longer. So now what I could possibly do is take this from here and go underneath. So when I turn that round the right way, it looks quite nice. So I'm going to do another one. I'll do this one, because some of them are more difficult because they've got things in them. Now what you could do, in fact I can do that, but I'm going to put the top on here. And again, you know, I've got arthritis, so they're not the best thing, but it enables me to use a marker, which I couldn't do normally. So if I leave that on there, I'm just going to get, if I can just, whoopsie. I don't know which one was the better one, actually. I can't remember. I think this is the better one. So what I'm going to do, and I have used this in Imagimorphia book, but I haven't used it on photocopy paper. So I've got a pin, and I've got a very, very fine tip on this solution. And what I should have done is shook it up first, because it's blue. This is masking fluid, but it's got blue in it, so that you can actually see it. Because when I was younger, the masking fluid used to be clear, and you could never see what it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mask out all the things that are in the way. Oops, and I haven't done this before, so you'll have to bear with me. So if I just push that over there, and it's soaking in, it's soaking through, so it probably won't work. I didn't really want it that thick, because I found out that if you do it too thick, what happens, maybe if you do it on its side and push it about a bit, if you do it too thick, it soaks in and then it just destroys your page. So I guess this is going to happen here. It's not actually going to do anything, it's just going to dissolve in and then completely ruin the page, but never mind, we'll have a go. Yeah. Yeah, this is not going to work. So I've ruined the page, but never mind, it was a practice. It does work on the actual paper, but you can see it's gone through. So that is not going to rub off. So I'm going to do this particular one up here, and I'm going to do it in the deep green. Do it in the deep green. So again, I've got the blending chamber here, and I've got the brush tip. I'm probably going to use a bullet tip, I think. So again, gently push on the end and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, just a quick test, just to make sure that they were actually touching, because sometimes they don't always. And then you can just very carefully. Now, the bullet tip to me leaves a few lines, but it's still quite a nice blend. And just try it. The only thing with the brush end is if they go a bit too fluffy before you change them. Like this one's gone a little bit too fluffy because it's been pushed. It's been probably pushed. So take it back to its point. And then very carefully, just let them kiss. But if you've got a small space and you want to be a bit precise, if you've got a fluffy end on a felt pen tip, it's a bit different sometimes. So again, I'll just see what that did and we'll test it. It's not as dark as I'd like, so I'm just going to use it down here, and then I'm going to put it back on here and count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is very pale now. So again, I've had a bit of a test, so I just need to just take that across, and then if I'm very lucky, as it goes down here, as the leaf bends, I have a really nice highlight. And again, I'm out of practice. She only brought them home the other day, so I played with them once, I think, the other day before Christmas. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But it doesn't take you long before you know how long you need to be counting. I'm just going to see, there's something behind there, so sometimes it's that. Again, it's a Kirby Roseanne colour book, so there's all sorts of things going on. Now I might have to ruin the pearls, I think. There's a little fly on that leaf there. So again, I'm going to count to 10 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A bit of a touch just to make sure, and then again just very carefully stroking round that fly and then teasing down to its natural dark colour. And it is upside down, apologies for that, but you have to really do this. You have to be at a really nice natural angle for your hands and your wrist. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, very, very pale now, but I'm just going to stroke. And if you've got a nice kind of action going, sometimes you can just about, you've got to be quick because you don't want that blending solution. You don't want the stroke before to dry, because if it dries you'll get a line. But if I turn that way up, that looks quite nice. And it's paler than this one, and so eventually you can start playing about with different shades. So this is an olive colour here, so again I put the top on this one. I mean, you can either do all these, there's another one up here, so I can do the other one again. So again, it's really quick as well. You're not taking 10 pen tops up to get all these blending. So again, just touch and we'll count to 10. And I'm sure you don't want me counting all the time, but again, if you just kind of just gently glide this colour across, and what you find is you get a really lovely blend. But this is a little bit of a fluffy kind of brush. The brush tips a little bit fluffy at the end, if you can see. It's a bit fuzzy, look. So you can just either take that back. I think it's because that it's just been rammed onto the top of here. Of course, because if you look at this, as soon as you touch it, it sprays, so it shouldn't do. But there's spare nibs, so that's quite good. And again, I'm turning this one so that this one is at a nice angle for me, because I want that really nice smooth angle so I can really colour this properly. And so once you start, you have to keep going, and as long as you get the blending solution over the one before, you're not going to get any marks, any lines. Again, you know, I can't get in there really, so I'm going to change to the bullet end. So I take this top off, pull this one off here, and again that's the bullet end, so I can gently push that to kiss that and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm only going to give it 8 actually, and again just a bit of a flick. So this is going to be extremely pale, but I want that on this particular bit here, so that when it turns round, and I'm not at the proper angle, but that should then go to the deepest green. And while we're here, we can kind of do this. So when I turn that the right way around, the underside of that leaf is really dark, because that's the proper colour of the biro. I mean, as the marker. Now you can use them just dead plain markers. You don't have to do this. Again, there's a little one there, so because it's a smaller space and I do want a fine point, I'm using the bullet end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's a smaller space. So again, I think it goes behind there and there. So we start here and we go here, and then there's a little bit of it here. And again, I've never done this before, so you've got to bear with me. You just got to tease that colour out. And actually I've missed it, but if I touch it now, it's going to be dark. So the only thing for me to do is to touch this again and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, that is part of the leaf behind it. This is the top of that leaf. So that's the leaf, and that's the other leaf there. Look. So this is part of, this is thin air, and but it's because it's very pale, I've got away with it. But this bit here is actually the background. So I've done all that leaf. There's a few leaves behind here, but I'm actually going to put the lid on this one now, and I can carry on with this, and it soaks through, but it doesn't matter. Oh, hi Judy, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Apologies for the dogs trotting in and out, driving me insane, but there we go. So again, I've got the bullet end, and it's a little bit wispy, so again, you know, I would probably maybe change that end. But as I say, these have been at uni for a few months, so again, just let them kiss, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is very pale, so I'm going to start at the top here. And I'm going to just do this first, and then I'm going to start here. And just stroke across. And once you start, you've got to keep going. So this is the bullet end. And again, you know, it's going to go to its original dark colour, which I didn't really want that, actually. But if I turn it round, it's going to look different now, so I'm going to have to change them all. The bullet end needs that bit longer. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, just a touch. So I'm going to do this shorter one this time. And you want to be kind of over the top, so you have a natural sweeping motion all the way around to there. So that one isn't as dark, so you have to have a bit of a play. So these were done with a brush and these were done with a bullet, and so you just have to keep counting. And as I say, you know, that might be strange to some people, but because my daughter had never used any other markers, especially for blending, then she actually kind of found this not so bad. And I wasn't too bad either, because I've never played with blendable markers before. So if you haven't, then you can actually pick it up quite easily, because you've not been taught any differently. So I'm actually going to go over the top of this. And that worked quite well, because that one and that one is darker than that one, which is how it would be normally. And again, I've got this one now, so I'm going to count quite a lot. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, I'm going to start with this one here, go across to here. And this is going to be a lot paler, this one, which is quite okay because it's on the top. So it's quite fast. Now I've got to here, so I could carry on with this one. It would be very dark, but the one thing I could do is this, is to take this one dark. Because it's underneath. And then I can count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's given me the pale bit almost to that colour. So I've got pale to that colour and then dark. So you don't have to waste your blending solution. If you feel that you want to be darker somewhere else, you can move it around. So this was going to be dark under here, because there seems to be that one, but there's also one underneath, which we can't see, but we can here. So I'm actually just going to colour that in with a marker, I think. Maybe a little bit of a colour. 1, 2, 3. Just want a little bit of colour here, so that's darker than this one. And then we have the circle to do. So again, we can start from this side and work in and stop here. So that's going to be a natural way to stop. So again, welcome to Bunny's Designs. So again, I'm just going to start here. And once you start, you've got to keep going, because you're going to get darker and darker. Now, the other thing I can do is stop there and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I can start going backwards this way, possibly here. And then, oops, sorry about this, possibly, what have I got now? This here. It's quite pale. Again, this is how you play with going one way then the other and playing with colour. So that's quite pale now. So again, I'm going to go from here and I'm going to stroke into there. So it was a practice, but it wasn't so bad. I went pale, dark, pale, and I've got to here, which is there. So in theory, I can turn it round, and I'm going to put this on again for about 6. This is all practice. Once you've played around a little bit, and again, I've never done anything like this with these pens. Not this kind of fine. So I've got like a highlight there, and then we really want a highlight round here. So again, I'm going to just let that just drain for about 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's almost clear. So again, I'm just going to take this round here and kind of maybe just have a natural bit. The trick is to stop when it's getting dark. Now there isn't any on here, it's very pale. And this is too pale now. So if I just count outside, and I do apologize about the noise. Again, I want to do this one again because it's too pale. If it was at that side, it would be fine because of all that light, but it's at this side, it's underneath. So again, just check. So again, this is, I'm going to just actually keep drawing on here until I get a bit of colour like that. So I now have a little bit of colour here, and that's going to get a lot darker as it gets nearer, because again, this one is going to be underneath. So when I turn that round, that's going to look a lot better. And this one is a little bit too pale, so I'm just going to put a little bit on this one. So again, get it in the right position and count. And apologies, this is going to be very boring. I shall pan out in a minute and show you what I've done. So again, I don't want too much, but I do want a little bit of a darker. And because I haven't counted as quick, the pale doesn't, the blending solution doesn't last as long. Now possibly this is going to be too dark, but it's a practice. It's a practice. So I'm going to put, oops, I'm going to put the top back on here and then push that onto the blending solution and put the pen away. And it's as easy as that. So I shall pan out and you can see where I've got so far. And then I'll probably stop this particular video because it's been going for a while. And as I say, it gets quite boring, so I'm just counting. But I want to show you the effects of these fab pens for very little effort. And you can actually use them if you've got arthritis. So that one probably should have been under here. But once I've done this page, I'll be a lot better at judging small spaces. I've been used to using bigger spaces, like this. And these, when you look at these spaces, these are half these spaces. But once you've done one practice, you'll get used to it. So let me just have a look at the time. Yes, Judy, they're fab. They're, as I say, they're a little bit expensive, but the good thing is you can replace the nib and you can replace the blending solution, and you can buy the bottles of the ink. You can buy the alcohol ink in a little jar, and these pens are huge. So even I can use them with my poorly hands. You can twist the top off, as long as you're careful, and push it back on, and that's it. And they sit in this fab little box, which then closes up. So it's, and I think this has won an award actually. And basically, that's the box, and you open it up, and it sits up, and so your pens just sit looking at you, ready to take out and put away. And you have the drawing pen. It's called a detailer pen, and you can blend again with a double-ended colourless blender as well. So each pen is 10 colours. There's 20 colours plus those two. So you have, because this is actually, there is a black. So there's 200 colours in here. So my daughter kind of pushed that like this, and then you slide the plastic cover over, and there is a little hole there. So you push this up, and that's how you pull it out. Push it together, all secure, away to go. And I just think that's amazing. Now, I would love some of these pens, but I couldn't justify them because I don't work. So my daughter has them because she needs them for her college. But for students, anybody disabled, this is fab because you can get the tops off. And you don't have to take the tops off 10 colours to colour something. You know, I've used one pen for all this, and the same pen to do all these. Oh, hi Mika, welcome to Bunny's Designs. So again, they're a little bit expensive to start with, but the thought of buying a marker pen to then throw away, I just could not do that. So I plan to buy the colours ever so often to replace them. But as I say, these are for my daughter for uni. But she can carry this. I mean, it's not light, but she's got 200 marker pens in this, potentially. So it's fab, and you can do all sorts of other things with them as well. I just use them very simply, but you can do skin tones. One lady does fur. If you look at the blendable Chameleon pen website, they show you how to do fur. They show you how to do manga, all sorts of things. I just use them, but again, photocopy anything. But these are quite small spaces, so I thought that was my practice. I thought I might have a go at one of the Harry Potter pages. Seeing as, you know, we've got this kind of, I was going to do Hermione, but I do this one first. And again, I photocopied it. So I've got 2 pieces underneath, because it will go through the first layer. But just to make sure, I have another piece of printer paper. It goes through the first layer, it doesn't go through the third, but this is to make sure. But if you use them in your colour books, they will go through. And then this is my practice. This is my practice colour page. So let's have a look. We'll start with this because it looks the easiest. So we want a brown. So I'm going to stop this particular video. Sorry, I will stop this video and then I'll start again. So this was the blendable pens, because I've got them for about an hour and 30 minutes, so it might not save. So thanks for watching, and I do appreciate all my subscribers on YouTube and all my followers on Ustream, and I hope you've all had a pleasant Christmas. And this is end of part 1, so in part 2 we'll be playing with the Chameleon blendable pens. Thanks for watching.